Okay, let's turn now to Mississippi Goddam by Nina Simone. The first thing I would say about this song is that it's awesome, especially the video that I posted with her performing the song. Nina Simone is just a really talented performer. She's a great voice. Okay, so let's look into analyzing this. So just like I've been saying for all of our poems, the first thing I want to do is try and notice some stuff, repetition. Um, Definitely Mississippi Goddam, obviously the title. We'll get to that. I don't want to start there though. I actually want to start a little further down. If you go down to the bottom of this first page. So over here we get a lot of repetition of do it slow. So that's the first repetition that I want to start with. Um, so if you look here, we get do it slow, and in the video it's kind of like the background vocals, like she's singing the regular vocals, and there's the rest of the band, so multiple people doing the background vocals, saying do it slow. So, but that's just the trouble. Do it slow. Washing the windows. Do it slow. Picking the cotton. Do it slow. You're just painting rotten. Do it slow. You're too damn lazy. Do it slow. Things crazy. Do it slow. And then again, we get that again later on towards the end of the song. So my first question for this poem would be, what's going on with this? Why are they saying do it slow? Why do we get it so many times? And who's saying this? Who's telling her to do it slow? Definitely multiple ways that you could read that. But I think at least one way of thinking about it is that this is kind of the voice of the mainstream at the time. Um, even even people who weren't just totally racist in the 50s and 60s, even people who we consider moderates, who were kind of in the center politically, didn't really support the civil rights movement. I know when we are taught about it in history classes, and when we think back to what we heard about it now, we would assume, oh, like, how could people be against Martin Luther King? Like, what could be wrong with him? Like, everyone must have supported him. Everybody loved him. Like, no, in the time, everybody hated Martin Luther King. He was a pretty reviled figure by most people, unless you were radical, or if you were an African American yourself, maybe you had a higher approval rating. But the kind of what Martin Luther King in Letter to Birmingham Jail, what he calls the white moderate, wasn't really down with most of what the civil rights movement wanted, and not even like the Martin Luther King version, let alone the Malcolm X or the Nina Simone version. So do it slow. So I think one way to read this is the voice of that white moderate, saying like, okay, yes, I agree that you're treated unfairly, but this just isn't the way to do it. We need a more gradual approach here. There are a lot of people who said that at the time, like this is just going too fast. You can't expect white people to just adjust. So I would say this do it slow that we get. It's kind of the voice, the centrist kind of political voice, the voice of the white moderate. And Enos One's very hostile to this, right? If we look at the lines leading up to it, don't tell me, I tell you, me, my people just about do. I've been there, so I know. They keep saying, go slow. So this is clearly not something she likes going over here. I don't trust you anymore. You keep on saying, go slow. So here she makes that connection of like someone who says go slow cannot be trusted. They're not to be trusted. They're not part of the movement. They're not your friend. So even if they're saying, yeah, I agree with you, that African Americans need to be treated better, if they're telling you go slow, if they're telling you now is not the time for this, or you have to wait, or something like that, according to Nina Simone, they're not really on your side. Um, so that's one thing that sticks out here. I want to go now to the very end of the song. So I'm going to the third page here on my printout. So right towards the end here, we got this line, you don't have to live next to me, just give me my equality. It's actually the last line of the verse, right, leading back into the final chorus of the song. And I think this is part of the song that leads me to connect this with its nation time. I definitely see, I think I grouped these together when I give them to you for homework. I definitely see its nation time and Mississippi Goddam as kind of part of the same political project. This idea, you don't have to live next to me. There's just something fundamentally different if you compare that to, we've been using MLK's I Have a Dream speech. If you compare it to that, where he's thinking about, little white children, little black children playing together and walking hand in hand and everything like that. She says, you don't have to live next to me. Just give me my equality. She's not really interested in the same kind of vision of integration that Martin Luther King is. And I think we saw that with its nation time. I think we've seen that in Message to the Grassroots from Malcolm X. So I think here we have another thing that kind of connects this poem more to the black nationalist side. And now I do want to think about the chorus. So let's go back to the very beginning. So we got this throughout the song, but Alabama's gotten me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest, and everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn. I do like that goddamn, and then by the end of the song, and one of the reasons I wanted you all to listen to that video, by the last time that she's singing the chorus in the song, it's really like everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn, like it's very frustrated towards the end of the song, right, where she really is kind of cursing it, saying, damn you, Mississippi, god damn you. So why is she saying that? Where is this coming from? What's the point? Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest, and everybody knows about Mississippi. God damn. So I think we can see these are all southern states: Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi. They're also, if you want to look into some of the civil rights historical stuff, some of the worst offenders of Jim Crow laws and just really awful treatment and laws against African Americans. Mississippi, I believe, is where the Emmett Till murder took place. Also, Medgar Evers, another famous terrible murder. Alabama is where I think we're going to talk about this in with Martin Luther King, but Alabama is where there was a church where a church gets bombed and 6 children are killed and things like that. So the South generally and these states in particular are the sites of some of the worst atrocities of the time period. So what I want to look at here, why does she say everybody knows? Everybody knows about Mississippi. Well, what does everybody know about Mississippi? I think at least one answer to that question is that everybody knows how racist the South is. Everyone knows the kind of treatment that these people are experiencing in Mississippi. And why is it so frustrating? Why is she telling us everyone knows? Because everyone knows, but nothing is done about it. Right? That's why she's so mad that everybody knows. Like it's clear to every person that these things are going on. These are national stories in the press where it's very clearly, there's cases of racial bias or like, the facts of the Emmett Till case are so easy to understand. And everyone did understand them at the time, and everyone knew what was happening. Everyone knew that, basically the government was conspiring against black people and letting white people off with these terrible crimes and lynching and stuff like that. So I think that's where her frustration comes, and why she's telling us everyone knows about this. And yet nothing's done. The rest of Mississippi, goddamn, just kind of describing scenes that connect to the civil rights movement, like this: hound dogs on my trail, school children sitting in jail. So she's just kind of describing the scenes from the civil rights movement and some of the violence that the protesters dealt with. And it is good to bring up because that is some of the most famous footage that you might have seen from the civil rights movement of protesters just being treated horribly, dogs being let in them, they get shot with fire hoses. They get beat up until they're bloody and all these terrible things. Same thing over here. I see her describing some of the movement. So I think there are some kind of broad ways that we can connect Mississippi Goddam more to the Black nationalist kind of thought in, not necessarily being all about integration, in being frustrated with kind of the moderate telling them to go slow and they have to wait. There's definitely a sense of urgency and frustration to this poem that also connects it to its nation time. So yeah, there's just some of my thoughts here, and I hope to see some of yours too. Okay, thanks for listening.